economics, politics, trade, taxation, a new security architecture with regards to the logistics behind all of this. Today, I have the distinct pleasure and honor to welcome the Managing Director of CSC Christodoulou, Mr. Christos Christodoulou, who's also the CEO of the Delphi Alliance. My name is Dr. Marios Efthymiopoulos. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Strategy International, and this is Prime Analysis. Dear Mr. Christodoulou, thank you very much for coming at another web series of Strategy International.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm honored, and it's a great pleasure to be with you here today.
It is a great privilege and honor to welcome an expert such as yourself who will be talking to us, among others, about the not only taxation but the economic status, if you want, of Cyprus vis-a-vis the world, and a bit of the geopolitical analysis about what is happening around us from an economic perspective. But before we start the actual analysis of our discussion, it is part of our tradition, if you want, within Prime Analysis to talk a bit about the life of young Christos, the one with a vision and objectives and the willingness to do a great many things. Why don't you tell us a bit about Christos so our audience can hear out a bit?
Thank you. I started my professional career in 1997. From 1991, immediately after I completed my military service, I started studying, but at the same time I was working part-time in Cyprus and later on in the UK, where I completed my professional studies in 1997. Then I started working professionally in various firms, and in 2004 I decided that it's time to launch my own firm, CSC Christodoulou. I was honored in 2005 to have a monitoring visit by ACCA, which was monitoring all the audit firms in the world. And we received the Global Award in 2005 by ACCA, which was a major honor for the firm, for the profession in Cyprus, and for Cyprus in total, because it was the first recognition, the first award outside the UK at that time. Hard work since 2004 until 2024, we completed 20 years of professional services.
Hence also at your logo, the 20 years.
Exactly. We celebrated our 20 years. We have made a series of presentations and ceremonies together with our clients who supported us all these 20 years. You know, it was a very difficult period. You can imagine 2008 crisis, 2013 another crisis, then the COVID. But despite all these crises, we managed to be having growth on an annual basis, providing quality services, and this is justified by the people that they do the monitoring visits to the firms, and to support the Cyprus economy by servicing Cypriot firms, Cypriot businesses. We have clients from all the service sectors of the economy. Some of them are leading companies, and we have been standing aside them during prosperity and austerity times.
Right.
Now, apart from that, Christos, being a chartered certified accountant, is also a certified fraud examiner. We are conducting special investigations, fraud investigations. I've been participating in investigations that led to presentations in courts. I'm also dealing with taxation, as you mentioned.
Right.
25 years in the tax committees of our association. Served twice as the president of the VAT committee, participating in meetings at the highest level with the tax department, with the finance committee of the parliament, with the ministries, helping the government to promote the correct, let's put it this way, the correct legislation in terms of taxation.
Which makes you the right person to have the right discussion about
Oh,
the
thank you.
financial status and beyond of the Republic of Cyprus, but also the services that are provided privately or publicly, with regards also to the balances as an inshore state within the European Union, but also the balances that are taking place vis-a-vis the economic changes that are taking place due to the warlike situations and so on.
Exactly. So, just to conclude about myself, I'm married. I have 2 kids. They're not kids anymore, 25 years and 21.
Right.
They're following
Pathway.
they're following the profession, let's put it this way. And yes, apart from that, very busy on a daily basis, as you can understand.
Right.
And this never stops.
Exactly. And I have to say that our relationship also does not stop in the academic world. So I know you're engaged in the academic world as well as participating in the academic community and more. And that makes it even more tangible because it blends the necessity of practice vis-a-vis applied sciences. And applied science is an element that is really required in my respect, in my humble opinion, in terms of the scientific value that gives the political economy of things, if I can call it like this. So allow me to just go a step forward and start our discussion. You mentioned VAT, and we mentioned also the Republic of Cyprus. We mentioned that it's an inshore state. You said you started your company in 2005. Four.
Yes.
I'm sorry. In 2004 is also the year that Cyprus joins the European Union as a full member. What does this mean in terms of economics, tax, and beyond, vis-a-vis the past versus the future?
Okay. It was a big change. Let's start by mentioning that before that, we were called that we were an offshore tax haven country, jurisdiction.
It was advertised also as such.
Of course, bearing in mind that the corporation tax for offshore companies was 4.25%, you can understand that that was a major change in 2004.
And today is
Well, if we go historically, this changed to 10%
right.
for both Cypriot companies and offshore companies, but the Cypriots were subject to defense tax on another percentage, which effectively led to the previous 20% that was in place.
Right.
So 10% corporation tax and another effective tax 10% for the Cypriots, those being residing in Cyprus. Eventually, these changed. After the 2013 crisis, we had an increase on the corporation tax, 12.5%. And as you heard probably yesterday, the intention is to increase it in 15%.
Right.
Of course, again, there was and there is still a distinction between those being tax residents in Cyprus and domiciled in Cyprus. The effective tax rate for me is around 23%, whereas for somebody else is 12.5%. For
the ones who have
the ones that they have the non-dom status. Although that was a successful measure in 2004 when we started the new regime, it slowly created a difficulty in balance between Cypriots and non-Cypriots operating in the same category. For example, developers, foreign developers, Cypriot developers, 23% taxation for the Cypriots, 12.5% for the others. The intention for now is to minimize this difference. The proposed changes yesterday is to bring the corporation tax to 15%.
So down, lower.
No, increase it from 12.5 to 15%.
So non-dom.
Yes. The corporation tax, and the extra tax for the Cypriots in defense taxation to be reduced for another 5%.
Right.
There are technicalities in how this will be applied, but going back to the question, what has change apart from the corporation tax is that you mentioned VAT.
Right.
Being part of the union, we are following EU directives. So you can understand there are many things that are being driven on a EU level, not on a national level. So
But adapted to the national level.
they are adapted, but we are not the decision makers. I mean, EU is deciding, is issuing the directives we need to follow. There are some directives that they give the option for the states to opt some of the parameters, but mainly these are compulsory.
Okay.
So after 2004, I would say that the effects we had from joining the EU on the taxation side is that we had to comply with EU regulation, which is good. Is
Because
not
you're now part of the EU.
we are part of the we need to
you have
respect
to abide
we
by,
need to respect the rules. We need to be full members and apply these rules, of course. But at the same time, we were not the ones to decide our tax policies, especially in terms of VAT, because these are directives.
And that probably destroyed a specific construct that was up.
No, it didn't destroy it. It didn't destroy. Cyprus was able to adapt. The economy adapted, producing various products. We changed the branding of Cyprus abroad, of course. We remain a very favorable jurisdiction for investments, for being here, residing here, working and residing here, which is very important because it's not only the direct tax that needs to be counted in terms of foreign investment, it's also the indirect tax. And indirect tax, I'm not talking only about the VAT and the consumption. I'm talking about living in Cyprus and spending money in Cyprus. So the fact that we continue to attract investors from abroad, headquartering companies and groups being here with their headquarters or branches, and they bring people here in order to work and reside here, this is very, very important.
But that also requires some sort of strategic value, because what you're changing at, you just told me that, okay, we rebranded the financial taxational elements, we rebranded the economic viability, we showcased the capability of the FDIs. Now we need a specific strategy that will showcase, if you want, the strategic location of Cyprus as a hub, considering probably from 2004 to 2025, you have richer countries, Gulf, North Africa, Central Africa, and so it goes on and on. It's also the African area, the Middle East, which is going to be rebuilt eventually. So you have to be ready to accommodate these opportunities, and also Israel. A strategic alliance that developed from 2011 onwards between Greece, Cyprus, and Israel, or Cyprus and Israel itself, and something that has to pivot in, if you want, with regards to the necessities in a changing landscape, considering the security volatilities, but also the opportunities in a post-war era. Is Cyprus ready with such a strategy, you think, or is it an ongoing process?
It's definitely an ongoing process. You mentioned previously geopolitics. I believe that Cyprus is adopting every time there's a major geopolitical change. I mean, consider the effect with Russia. Let's start with that. We know that for many years we had Russian entities in Cyprus, investments from Russians. So this has changed because after 2022, this has changed. We adopted. So we are not yet ready for the new big change. And this is something that needs to be built through the taxation reform, through other incentives. And let's not forget about infrastructure.
Right.
We are bringing in so many investors, companies, which means that the infrastructure needs to change as well. We need to adopt in this. We are talking about schools, we're talking about the health system, we're talking about education, and we're talking about communication, transportation, shipping.
And
There's still a lot of work to be done in direct flights, for example.
yeah, this is something that I've been saying it openly in the first opportunity. You built on a strategy, and that strategy needs to have logistics and direct communication with the country of destination for or going or outgoing. from there. I mean, the relationship, for example, with the United States, which has recently be going into a strategic pathway, and I call it like this because we're still ongoing on many elements that we are distinguishing. You cannot develop any relationship without direct flights, logistics, cargo, or politics, or even tourism, for that matter, which is a huge also market, which I still consider that it has a long, long way to go, considering the beauty that Cyprus provides.
I would say all of them, what you mentioned. And yes, going forward after the Russian effect, we can see how many Israelis are now investing in Cyprus. We can see the new relationship building up with the US. So probably there will be US investments in Cyprus.
Or eventually.
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 And hopefully.
Yes.
Actually, that was one of my concerns during, if I remember, 2019, when we started the economic diplomacy.
Right.
And
when the current president was the foreign minister, if I correct.
Yes, correct. Yes, and he started this economic diplomacy, which was correct in my opinion. But through this economic diplomacy, since there were changes, the strategy should be or must be to receive exchanges in terms of...
Have we not done this?
I'm not sure. Perhaps politically, if we judge from the results that the new relationship is being built, I would say we've done it. Probably not from the economic side. I would expect to see more U.S. investments.
That's why you said it's ongoing process.
Yes, I believe it's an ongoing. I believe this will happen. And investments doesn't necessarily mean trading companies and bringing subsidiaries here, but infrastructure, for example, which is ongoing. Military based, but is important
but
infrastructure.
Not only military based, because in my experience, in my small humble experience, if I can call it like this, of many years in the U.S., one of the things that we have not understood is that the military itself, in the U.S., specifically in the U.S., has a whole industry behind it. It's a whole world by itself. The way that a military base is built, the logistics behind it, the network that is coming, the incoming, outgoing with regards, and then we go to the military assets. We have not gone to the military assets. We're going only to the levels that gives you a survivability mode, the operational mode of any military base, of any construct, of anything. So we're talking about small hubs, circular economies by definitions, to call it a bit more financial, which gives you the data flow for further investments. And that's why I'm asking, is there a strategy for it? Because in order to create a circular economy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're an expert on this, I'm not, you need to define processes that are combined together and that gives you the allowance between the law, the infrastructure, the application, and then the return of investment, if I can call it like this.
I agree, but I believe we do have a strategy. I can see it happening because it's not only the US, it's not only Russia. You can see Israel investments in Cyprus. We are opening up with India, channels with India.
The Gulf countries.
The Gulf countries. There have been a lot of investments already, gradually all these years. But now, as I said, since we are doing one step further with the new tax reform, we are adjusting the whole regime.
Indeed.
I believe it's going to be very, very fruitful for the future, and we will see a lot of investments coming from many countries. It's important, I believe, that we are not dependent by one specific country.
Absolute diversity.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, you're European. We never mentioned Europe. Europe is another 26 member, plus us 27. So investment also from the 26.
Of course.
There goes diversity. Then you also have China, which again does not play a pivotal role in the way, because things are much more complicated in the political world, obviously. But it is a possibility. Australia. We also didn't mention anything about Oceania and those countries from, or even South Asia. And at the same time, Africa. We're also nearby Africa, so we could be a transport hub, we could be a logistics hub, we could be an operational hub for technologies Technology, as you know, doesn't matter where you're located as long as you have your financial or non-domicile, if you want, companies located there, as long as there is a strategy on technology.
Starting with the technology, I believe that we made a lot of progress on that, taking into account that we have Tech Island in place in Cyprus, in Limassol. So many tech companies are here in Cyprus and have invested huge amount of money. But there is another factor that I believe is very, very important for the strategy and for the future. The Cyprus problem. Taking into account that we have so severe restrictions in our shipping industry.
Because of the Cyprus issue.
Because of the Cyprus problem from Turkey. So imagine that after resolving the Cyprus problem, we are free to conduct business with Turkey. And our shipping industry will not be having those current restrictions. That will change the game completely, because Cyprus have a very strong presence in the global shipping industry, and we have limitations because of this. All our efforts are in towards to resolve the shipping problem by resolving the Cyprus problem. It's very, very important for the economy. It will change the game completely.
So I guess you're saying it from a point of view of business, which I acknowledge. The resolution of the Cyprus issue will mean the establishment of relation between the country of Cyprus united and Turkey. But maybe it's also the reason why Turkey knows about it and may not want to allow such an opportunity to Cyprus. And I see it from a political point of view. I mean, I'm diverse. I'm changing a bit the discussion here. Why? We need to decide that whether actually Turkey wants to resolve the Cyprus issue or not. Obviously, the Republic of Cyprus wants to solve it because it was an invasion. So everybody wants to go back to their homes, the citizens of Cyprus. So it's quite evident. But Turkey may not see it like this. Turkey may see it, I gained a new area, this is mine, and I control elements of the Middle East because I see and envision Kyrenia is opposite to the Middle East, for example. So can it not be an opportunity for maritime shipping for its own opportunity, considering that there is no solution, that Cyprus has to take a strong decision on maritime affairs, considering the fact, because we have to consider the fact that Turkey may not change its posture vis-a-vis the solution of the Cyprus issue?
Well, to start with, I don't believe that Turkey doesn't want to resolve the political issue because of shipping, but for sure, shipping and the energy sectors are very, very important ones.
Of course.
But I believe that Cyprus has done its utmost in bringing up the matter on a global scale to the international organizations. But unfortunately, this cannot be resolved only by us. It takes two to tango to do that. So only the settlement of the Cyprus problem will settle this matter. Cyprus has a strong presence globally in terms of maritime shipping. So already we are in the prime seats of the industry. So imagine what's going to happen, not only in the shipping, but trade and services and joint ventures and infrastructure when this will be settled. I believe that this is going to be the driver for the new economy of Cyprus.
Can I challenge a bit this discussion in this?
Please.
And what does Greece have to say with the third biggest maritime power in the world?
I would say the same thing. I think the interests should be aligned. Greece is indeed on a higher scale than Cyprus, but together with Cyprus, we are the biggest in the EU. So they have the same interests. I don't think that there is any different strategy in terms of resolving the Cyprus political issue.
No. I'm talking pure business.
Okay, business, same. Either shipping or energy or all the aspects concerning the Mediterranean Sea, I believe we are fully aligned on this, and the interests are common.
Okay, then I go back again to the question: can it not be that Cyprus can create its own infrastructure to coordinate, if you want, the efforts to upscale the current maritime operational, if you want, environment? Because, we made an agreement, for example, with Egypt on liquidated gas, as an example. That requires maritime transport. And majorly, Greece plays a role, Cyprus plays a role into this. This can be done in a greater percentage, in a greater value added, considering that it's not solved. What changes, and you're right there, is the energy map. And yes, in the energy map, it can be a reason. Many Gulf countries say business solves political stands, if I can call it like this. There's a point of no movement. So business may actually bring people together and side together to think in an opposite way. But here, Cyprus is also geopolitics, and Cyprus is also geostrategy. So this is, I call it, usually in my writings at least, I call it the Game of Thrones. And it is a Game of Thrones if you think about it. Energy-wise, landways or seaways. And that is water, that is electricity, that is natural oil and gas, natural resources, and also transport goods from point A to point B going through ourselves. So don't you think that Cyprus has a role to play in the strategic scale that will necessitate the upscaling of maritime affairs anyways?
That's true. I personally believe that we underestimate ourselves a little bit. I believe that Cyprus has a bigger role to play. And I'm glad that I can see some initiatives towards this. But I believe that we can be key players concerning what you have described. Sometimes maybe we think that we are small, tiny Cyprus.
No, this is not the case.
Exactly. This is something that needs to be changed. Not because we are powerful,
Even
but
the way that we say it.
even the way we say it, but we have a powerful location. And this is very important. But you mentioned about the alliances and the energy factor. Everything goes back to the security, your expertise. So
I would call it safety more.
Okay.
Or security, is it?
Maybe.
Security. So
But
strategic security.
I mean, in terms of economics, in terms
So
of
security.
vision, in terms of infrastructure, I believe we are doing what is within our powers.
Yeah, because it shows a hub of hope. I call it, in the security world, it's called a hub of hope, because everything comes in and out. The government did a very good thing, for example, with the Amalfi. As an idea, as a process, this challenge is challenging according to what happens around. But the Amalfi idea, for example, was an idea to show that Cyprus is not only the entrance to the EU, but it's outgoing.
It justified the role of Cyprus.
Exactly.
This is what I'm saying.
But without maritime, you can't really do. You're an island country. Without maritime, you can't really absorb all the opportunities that are coming to you.
Exactly. That's why I said, because we are on a location that it's been affected by the presence of Turkey. Only by resolving the Cyprus problem this will be settled.
Okay.
We are doing our utmost for the merchant shipping, but the restrictions are there. And this is not something we can change.
Are there political restrictions coming from the EU, you mean? Or is
No.
it political restrictions because of the threat factor?
Turkey is applying these restrictions.
So threat factor.
Of course.
Okay.
Not only threats. It prohibits visits to Turkish ports, for example. You cannot go on a Turkish port under Cyprus flag. You cannot even pass from Turkey as a transit.
To the Black Sea.
These are major restrictions. So it limits the usage of the Cyprus flag and the usage of Cyprus entities.
But in the meantime, you can go to the rest of the world.
Of course you can go, and we do go to the rest of the world. That's why we are highly ranked. And with Greece, we are on the top position in the EU. But
so what's the return?
Turkey has also an important location and ports. And it's not only for maritime shipping, it is important for the yachts as well. We have a lot of yachts,
There's the yachting as well.
and some of the major locations around us are in Turkey, and this also creates problems in the industry.
If somebody comes in the marina, for example, in Cyprus, and from Cyprus it goes to Turkey, it won't be allowed?
It depends. It depends if the yacht is carrying a Cyprus flag, or if it is
If it's a
under a
Red Sea.
Cyprus entity. Many times there are problems with the Cyprus entity as the owner of the yacht. Not because it visited previously the Cyprus port,
Yes.
but because of the status.
Hence the question why, because I knew you're going to concentrate on the company profile, which is quite good to know the differences between the flag and the company register.
Yeah, the flag is the most
Yeah,
important.
yeah. But also the register itself.
Yes, we've seen many cases where the registry and the entity played a role in allowing the yacht to visit the Turkish ports or not.
Let me just divert the discussion into another pathway that you have conducted. So, taxation matters, economics matter. We have reached into a level, as you said, that Cyprus now plays a pivotal role in the finances, in the operations, in the FDIs, in the location and strategy. I'm going a bit into your profession now, considering the latest development and the decision that you have taken to create the Delphi Alliance, which I think the Delphi Alliance, consider what we have said now, has very much to do so with the main questions that we raise into this discussion. How to combine effectiveness, compatibility, adaptability, and progress, development. Tell us a few things about the Delphi Alliance.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Delphi Alliance is the first multi-practice professional association globally. From around 2021, when we launched, actually July 21, we are now present in 13 countries.
Okay.
And we are having members. Delphi Alliance is an association by members. So when I visioned the whole project 4 years before, starting around 1997, it was in order to combine something that was missing from the professional environment, to have experts in each country cooperating together, forming a local alliance by experts, and at the same time having a global alliance. How this works. In each country, we are seeking to find experts in their own line of service.
Right.
For example, lawyers, taxation, compliance, fiduciary, all those professionals that they serve a company.
Right.
Professions, not all other services. We were against the so-called one-stop shop. I know everything and I do everything.
Yes.
So by bringing independent firms with their expertise, we are providing solutions to businesses to opt whether they want to cooperate with those members. Now, the benefits by having these members is that they share resources.
Right.
They have referrals between them, clients, but the most important is that they serve international clients. I'll give you an example. A client of mine comes to my office and says that I want to set up an entity in the Netherlands. We're going to have an establishment there. We're going to do business there. It's an international company. Then he wants to go to Norway or to Dubai, for example. We need professionals there.
Right.
So if I don't have these connections, if I don't have professionals whom I trust and I know that they can serve this client of mine, I will not be able to serve. Through Delphi Alliance, there is an association of members and they share a lot of resources. They may share knowledge. They may share personnel,
Capabilities as well.
capabilities, access, information. I want information about Dubai. So the members in Dubai will provide information to those that they need.
Right.
Now, as an international organization, first of all, we are very proud that this global association has headquarters in Cyprus. It's a Cypriot initiative. We have shareholders, directors, we have our budget in place, and it's a viable project. The target is to be in 38 countries. We are currently in 13. We target to be in 20 countries by the end of this year. We are
2025.
already adding 3-4 countries in the next month. And the whole idea is to have professionals all around the world to cooperate and share the resources and offer the services to international clients.
It's quite interesting because the idea of Strategy International is a two-pillar approach, which the one combines the business elements of consultancy, probably boutique consultancy, because it's a young company, so the idea is to provide this. When I say business, I mean from the defense, security,
Yes.
technology, not the economics. Obviously, we're not into this. But the think tank itself, the idea of the think tank is to be able to promote special, if you want, information, documentation, I can call it like this, on risk assessment, management, so on and so forth, with people that we have around the world. Exactly because we don't want to be a one-stop shop in the field of the think tanks. The idea was to have people from their respective fields from around the world so they can give us the insights about those countries in those regions in those specific topics that we are capable of providing. And that is quite interesting, as you said, because we think that the world is moving towards that end. That people have realized that, I cannot be able to provide all services from here. And you have two options. Either you open another office in that area and you start to concentrate, but it's going to take at least 3 lifetimes to open in every single country that you want, or you find the very best, the specialists, with the standards that you want to keep and the prestige you want to build upon, and you build on capabilities and saying you have people on the ground and people that can provide you the feed of information with a cross-reference and cross-check of the data that inflows.
Precisely. You mentioned a couple of times the word alliances.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we are building. This is what the world needs. Alliances is
believe that, yeah.
not only in military or political or
It's
security.
on everything.
So
And combined.
you cannot afford to have a global presence on your own and do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you need alliances. So what we are doing is we are creating local alliances and the global alliance at the same time, bringing all this expertise on the table. That's why we can provide service to anybody that wants any type of service in any country where we'll be having presence. Not only the traditional accounting and tax and legal, but all the professional services for a company.
One can join.
Alliances are very, very important.
Yes.
And we believe that what we are offering, which is unique, there is no other association in the world that is providing 13 lines of service. Most of the associations are concentrated on accounting, tax, legal, some advisory.
I think you're doing business development as well, the way that you're anticipating this. You're doing it. It's the business, if I'm saying it correct, the business environment. You're setting up the business environment, the reason to be.
Well, back in 2021, when we launched, there was an article which mentioned that the Delphi Alliance sets up the new era in professional associations, and we believe in that. We believe that this is something that needs to grow.
Right.
We are pioneers in this, but we would like to see other associations coming in, joining Delphi Alliance to grow and provide all these services through the members, and even to have competition, to have other alliances that they will do multi-practice associations as well.
It's very interesting that you say that. Alliances, a term that I like a lot. I've written a lot about alliances. I want, if you want, in the last part of our discussion, through your prism, even of the Delphi Alliance, if you want, but also CSE Christodoulou, not only as a service provider, but as a framework for evaluation. You said also you were in the anti-fraud evaluation process. How are we doing with the wars around us? We've been seeing lately some discussions about activities, military activities. It will lead definitely to anti-fraud processes, utilities and stuff. Yes, politics defines usually how things are going to go into the process. But there is an ongoing war. There are a lot of articles of wars not being absolutely legitimate in the laws of war, in the operation of the law of war. And at the same time, we have a lot of research and development that has been applied into war operations, and we have ongoing wars which are not stopping. It seems that with Trump coming in, this war is now becoming a business element. So in order for war to stop the way that Trump sees it, is that you have to understand and define the economics of it, the post-war economics of it. I know it's a difficult question, but how do you see things evolving? It seems that this new leader who's pushing also Europe to go down that pathway will be stopping the war, recovering the war areas, rebuilding areas, solving the problems, or else with stronger financial sanctions, to say the least. What do you have to say on this?
Well, I think I'm going to change hats now.
Okay, good.
I'm going to put my academic hat,
Okay.
if you allow me.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I believe economics has always been a part of wars. Trump is making it a little bit more obvious, more sharp. I think that Trump, because I'm a fan of the realism theory in international relations, Trump is obviously destroying the liberalism theory and is pushing the realism theory to the edge.
Yeah.
He's talking sometimes like a businessman.
Sometimes.
Not only as a politician.
We're trying to see the times that he speaks as a politician. No, he's pure business.
But isn't it?
He's I'm sorry, I'm stopping. He's advertising golden visas right now. So
why not?
Yeah, because he's fixing the economy.
Why not?
We are tracking it from the political side. Well, we should track Trump from the financial side.
We have so many types of diplomacy. This is one of them, and he's using it right. So
yeah, but you would expect the business to say that, not the president of the U.S. to say that. That's the comment.
It's because he's a businessman as well. He's thinking and he's acting like that. And I don't think that there's a problem. I don't see any negative reaction from the U.S. part. I mean, from the citizens of the U.S. I'm not aware, but I think that this is fine in terms of his tasks in growing the economy of the United States. But going back to the question, I think economics are very important in any conflict. Energy, for example. We mentioned it so many times today. Energy, it's an economic pact. It's geoeconomics. So sometimes it's driving the wars and the conflicts. And the Gaza case now, as you mentioned, it's also about economics. As it turns out now, the second phase.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't about economics. It was against terrorism. But the economic part of war and reconstruction is pure economics.
The second phase is pure economics now.
I would call it geoeconomics in this case. Yes.
Now, how Cyprus is being involved in this? That's the part where I insist that we need to understand our role and take the advantage to cash out our location here in terms of what's happening around us and play a key role not only politically, but also financially.
A last question. Cyprus' role in all of this. You just mentioned it. How do you think that this role of Cyprus will be, considering the fact that you know that everything is geoeconomics or economics, as you call it? What should it be, the role of Cyprus?
What should it be?
More economic diplomacy, more strategic value to the combination of elements, because this path is politically led. This strategy is politically led to the necessity of the resolution of the Cyprus issue. But you mentioned the economic side of things as a must for resolution of conflicts all around us, including possibly also Cyprus.
I think we heard many times that the energy factor should play a significant role in resolving the Cyprus problem.
Right.
Some politicians are bringing this on the table as it should be the major driver.
Yes, as a negotiating tool.
I agree. I believe that our location and the need to have the connection between the East and Europe, the Middle East and Europe,
Convergence.
is very, very important. And another thing that we can see how the location affects the global trade with the new trends that we have with India. And we can see how India now starts playing a significant role.
With the IMEC.
So
Yeah, but it
these
was
are
before
the
it was with the Abrahamic Accords as well. The idea was expand the Abrahamic to the IMEC and probably Cyprus and Greece.
yes, but still, we are here on this
absolutely.
location, and these are the key areas where we should concentrate.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we are losing the card of the location, and this is where we need to play a significant role.
Alliances, then. I would call it alliances.
Alliances has been the driver since World War I.
Right. No, it was before that too, as well. But as you said, 20th century defined the modernity of realpolitik in terms of alliances. And they have the tendency to change depending on the interests. So much as the interests are converging with each other, alliances can take place.
And this is what Delphi Alliance is doing, actually. We are bringing the interest of everybody on the same table, locally and globally. And it's a new game. It's a different type of alliance, but it's an important alliance, and it serves the economy in many countries.
Good. Dear Christos, thank you very much for this very interesting discussion that we had. I know that we can discuss more, and I will keep that note to welcome you back once more in the near future again to discuss if you want and see whether actually these things have taken shape, because it is really important that these elements continue the discussion. We need to be an eye opener into the options. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. It was very nice having this conversation with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching another web series of Strategy International's Prime Analysis. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow into our YouTube channel and social media. My name is Dr. Marios Efthymiopoulos. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Strategy International. And remember, impact makes a difference.